So today in the video we're going to talk about going to do a real brief review of combining terms. Then we're going to talk about using limits and borrowing or just managing uh, the references that you find. So here in my term table you can see that we have working mothers and well-being as two of the terms that we had. So I'm going to go over into Galileo. I'm going to go to the advanced search, and often we don't want to use, remember these were subject terms, and so we may not want to use um, multiple subject terms. That can be too narrow. So I'm going to click on working mothers, and actually that didn't work, so we're just going to do working mothers, and then I'm going to choose the subject field, and then I'm going to do well-being, and I've noticed that some places they word it as one word, well-being, and so I'm going to combine these two together. So what I'm demonstrating here is this is terminology that we learned through our searching, through isolating our terms and reviewing items, and then we have a variation here to expand out our search. So now let's look at the limits. The limits are going to be on the left-hand side. So one option we have is to limit to peer-reviewed sources. So we're going to go ahead and do that. What that means is that before being published, that these items have been reviewed by other experts in their field. So we expect these to be research articles written by experts, which is normally someone who's associated with a research institution. And peer-reviewed means that not only was it written by an expert, but it was reviewed by other experts. And then let's go ahead and do a date limit to 2016. And then we also are interested primarily in the journal articles and not reviews that were published in scholarly peer-reviewed journals. So I'm going to limit it there to there as well. So we have 333 by searching the subject term of working mothers and well-being written in either of these ways. Now we could go through, we could review the abstract. If it's good, we could drop it into the folder. Okay, and so we could go through this. Now 333, maybe you want to go through all those, maybe not. Let me show you one way that you can limit it even further. So we could go in and add another keyword or subject, but we also have the option here within Galileo to go to subject, show more, and then this is going to give us all of the subjects within the 333 that we have searched. So while that's loading, I'm sure I can try that again. Let's see if we can go to show more. You could click show more to see an expanded list, but just for illustration's sake, we're going to go ahead and choose employment. So what this does is it takes another aspect of your research. So not only are we looking for about working mothers, but maybe we want to add an element. Probably in the list it could have had unemployment or job loss or something that you want to introduce a new idea. And so you could choose those and view a certain subset of your results. So we're looking at, of the 333, we're looking specifically at the ones that are labeled about employment. Okay, so that's a very manageable number, and so we could go through and review these and place into our folder the ones that we find relevant. Now, some of these you may find are not, the full text is not immediately available. In that case, you're going to want to click on the Find It button. The Find It goes and looks for it in other locations in our collection. And so it's going to pull up, and if it finds it elsewhere, it's going to bring in a link to that resource. So there is some extra authentication going on in the background, and then it should bring up the result. So let's see. I will say that I have often experienced some problems with this step, but this time this is how it should work. Here it has now brought us to the full text, and it was in another database that required some extra authentication. That's why we had to go through that process. Now you could save it here, right, and to come back to it, but you'll still have remember you'll have to go through the find it. You can save the PDF once you get to this point um, here. All right, so that if you find one though that is not available in another database, let's see if this one is an example of that. So for this one, you see that there is no full text available. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to initiate an ILL request. So that stands for Interlibrary Loan. ILLiad is just the service that provides the platform to request it. When you click here, it's going to initiate the request. Now you can see that I am automatically logged in. You may be prompted for your Unifi. If you've never done it before, then it may ask you for some more information. If you have any issues with that, please contact us. And so it's filled out the form here. Right now, the author is not here. So if there's anything lacking, you may have to go back to the record and copy and complete the form, and then you just go in and you submit the request. Now it will come to you electronically once it's cleared any kind of copyright. So that is how you would initiate an ILL request. Another thing that is available, if you click on it, and let's say you're using a reference management software and you've decided like this is one that I want to use, then you can export it into RIS format, which works with EndNote, for example. Many of you will be using EndNote or maybe another reference management software, and then you can save that and export it into that reference management software. If you need help with that, just let me know. There's also the option to see a preview of the citation. So if you click on Cite and go to APA, it will give you a preview of that. I will say that Galileo makes mistakes when it comes to these citations. For example, here, for an article title, it should not be in title case, meaning capitalizing all of these words. It should only capitalize any kind of proper noun, and so you will have to have your eye out for those kind of errors and catch those mistakes. Okay, so once you've walked through, remember we have been searching in Discover, then you're going to want to expand out and try other databases. Now I gave you a list in the module for how to find these other databases, but just so you can see, if you don't want to go out and find the link, you can go to Browse by Subject, Medicine, Nursing, and it's going to give you some suggestions here. So I like to search ProQuest. A lot of times these don't show up as well. So I would probably choose a nursing and allied health database. ProQuest Central does include items, but it's a little bit broad. This is specific for nursing. Journals at Ovid can be another place that may not show up in your initial Discover search. Medline and CINAHL are going to look really similar to the Discover search. You can see that it's provided by a vendor called EBSCO, which also built the Discover search, so they show up really well. But let me just go ahead and show you one thing that CINAHL does, in addition to being specific for nursing and medical care type sources, is that it gives you some extra limits that you wouldn't have earlier. So if I go into the advanced search, for example, you can see if you scroll down, you can actually search for the name of an instrument. So if you know the name of an instrument, then you can choose that and search specifically for the title of an instrument. Be sure when you're searching, I like to deselect. I'm not searching right now for subject terms. I'm searching and I'm, either maybe if I want to do a keyword or something like that, I want to go straight to my results. And that's going to be the closest to what I showed you before. So I search for nurse stress in the instrument field. So when I scroll down, I should see if it brings up any instruments that have those terms in the title. So I knew that I wanted the nurse stress scale, so here it is in the results. Okay, I hope that was helpful. I will be following up if I hear from you about any other videos that you may need, maybe some further demonstrations of the other databases. I can bring those in as well. All right, well, reach out if you need any help with borrowing through ILL, or if you have a request.